just arrived in Gatehasselfleet, Scotland, and of course it's raining. So I'm here for Raiders Gravel this weekend, which is a 3-day stage gravel race, and I'm hoping the weather isn't like this weekend. But I'm just going to go ride over now to where the event's taking place, because I'm going to join the social ride this evening. Hi Gabby. Oh, we're right at the back. What level of toast?
You've just burned them.
Joe, you try and do it, it's hard. And then we listen to some ghost stories on the beach. Good morning, it is the first day of Raiders. We start at 2 PM today, which is so social. So I'm gonna go get coffee, sign on, and just maybe meet some people, catch up with people. Hey Beagle.
Starting to get a bit of an old person's face, but...
Hello. Cara, are you excited for your first ever gravel race?
I am, I'm excited, but I'm also very scared.
It's gonna be fun!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go, folks. Raiders Gravel 2023.
So stage 1 was 74 kilometres of lovely Galloway gravel, but only 50 kilometres of it was timed. So this is the start of the timed section, and as expected, it was pretty fast to start with. Pretty rough section. I don't think you see the full depth of how rough this gravel is here, but it was just really hard to try and pick a line here because it was so rough and you needed to try and move forward as much as you could, because I knew when we hit the bottom we were hitting even rougher stuff, and it was just important to try and get in as best a position as you can. So that was Danny having a puncture on the first stage, and that was honestly the story for so many people throughout this weekend, just because the gravel is really rough, and if you pick a slightly off line, your tyre is just going to absolutely explode basically. So after the descent, Amelia caught up with me and I rode with her for a bit, but the first section of this route was pretty hilly and I definitely was struggling more on the hills than other riders, so I dropped back a bit, but I did manage to find a few hills to try and work forwards. But you can see here just how absolutely stunning the route is. Here's another rider I managed to work with for a bit. There was over 1,000 metres of elevation in this first stage, and you can just hear it in my breathing, but it did mean there was some also incredible descending, and I have to say I was absolutely loving the descents on this. But you can see here I'm working to try and get back again, and did manage to get back onto this group, but they were going pretty hard up any short incline, which just meant the power was just so much to hold on. The rider I was with stopped, which meant I was entirely on my own, which I was not too happy about, and I hit this incline, and I luckily saw behind me there were a couple of guys, and I just slowed up to work with them because I thought it would just be a lonely end of the stage to ride entirely on my own. As with any gravel race, you don't really know what's going on in front of you, and I didn't know I actually was closing the gap on Amelia, and I was actually less than a minute behind, just because we descended this insanely fast.
complexion, you know, give it a Scottish start.
Bridget.
On our way to stage 2 of Raiders Gravel. Got Joe driving me, as per usual. So stage 1 went well. It was pretty fast at the beginning. So you start on like this neutral section that was pretty calm this time. Last year the neutral section was not calm. Also, I'm just going to show the view right now because this is amazing. So stage 1, I finished second, just under a minute behind first, which is pretty good for first stage of a stage race, and I'm hoping that can be consistent over the 3 days. It was a pretty hard day out yesterday, so we'll see how the legs are feeling today. They're actually feeling fine this morning, but we'll see how they feel when I'm actually on the bike. So my nutrition sponsor OTU was sponsoring the event, and they have this amazing thing called the roaming feed, where around the course they were riding around feeding people.
3, 2, 1, we are go. Ladies and gentlemen, stage 2 of the Raiders Gravel 2023 here.
How does it round a move? And yes, in the neutral section we did come across a large bull. Stage 2 had the same start as stage 1, so I tried to get in an even better position than the time before, and I actually was in like the first 10 wheels going into this first descent. But then I almost came off the bike, so actually what happened here was both my feet came out the pedals because the gravel was so loose and I was trying to like pick the pedals up. And I think I lost about 20 positions because I just nearly went over the bars, had to completely put my foot down, put them back in. And the problem with that is then you've lost anyone that you were kind of like planning on working with, and like all the faster people have gone up the road and you're not going to see them for the rest of the day. So stage 2 had a really interesting format, which was like 3 time stages, but really long time stages. So they were 14k, 18k, 24k. And I basically ended up, as you can see here, like having to do a lot of work or on my own or just not with a big group of people because I just lost them at the beginning when my feet came out. Stage 2 also had the most beautiful but long and relentless 6.5k climb that just didn't seem to stop, but it was absolutely stunning. So I tried to just keep pushing on because I knew that I was obviously being timed over these sections, but I was finding it really hard because I knew that I just didn't have like faster people to work with, and I was having to do a lot of effort on my own, which was pretty tiring.
Team. Yeah, we have to stay together. We good?
Yeah. So at the feed before the last segment, I saw these 2 guys who were a team, so they have to stay together, who were about to set off, and they looked pretty fast. They must have had a mechanical or something. And I made a tactical decision that I was going to try and ride with them. And it was a pretty bad decision because within maybe 2 kilometers, they just pulled away from me and I just couldn't hold on or pull through at all working with them, which meant I was left on my own for somewhere between 10 to 15 kilometers, which was great for views, but really, really hard work before being picked up by this rider here. And then we rode together until the finish, basically. So I managed to lose, I think it was 7 minutes on this stage, just because I wasn't in a big group like the other girls were. But that's just really typical of gravel racing, and as soon as my feet came out, I was like, oh no.
Well done, mate. Well done, thank you.
That was really hard. But yeah, it was really good fun though. Bridget's clapping! So I'm not sure whether I paced it for the last day, but I'll give it all I've got. 55%.
not far, but you know, depending how the weather and the wind is tomorrow.
Final day today, stage 3, and I am looking forward to it. I slept so much better last night. I did not sleep the night before, so maybe with some more sleep I'll feel a bit better. Cara, what's the smiley face?
It's to remind me to have fun and enjoy it, even when I get a bit too competitive.
I love it! I need to tattoo a smiley face on my hand.
Collective rider Maddie not making roads into that. Well, I'm sure she's going to give it a big shot. 3, 2, 1, and we are go, go, go. 50 of Galloway, 50 of Galloway.
So stage 3 was just over 70 kilometres with 55 kilometres time, but we went a different direction. So this was the start here, and it started downhill, which I loved, but we went so fast. And as you can see here, people are taking slightly questionable risks with the speed that they're descending down this. But the dust in the face was pretty epic. There were definitely some really cool photos taken in this bit. So tactically here, I really did want a stage win, so that was my target for the third stage. And I could see Amelia and Danny just in front of me here, so I was like, I'm just going to work and go and join them, and then basically the three of us can race. And this was the only stage where none of us had a problem at the beginning, which meant we were all riding together, which actually made for like a way more interesting race. So we got together here, and my thoughts were just, they're both stronger up hills than I am. I'm potentially a faster descender, and therefore, given that it's a descent finish, I should just try and save as much energy as I can, cling on to them in the climbs, any technical bits, try and like accelerate through, like this bit here was a little bit technical, and yeah, see how it played out for me. We definitely eased off the pace a few times because no one particularly wanted to take the win when we realised that the three of us were actually racing. And there were a couple of guys in our group which definitely did slightly affect the race dynamic. So at this point I was actually feeling pretty good, and then one of the guys got on the front and like attacked on a descent, and Danny got on his wheel, and I was like, oh no, I need to try and get to them. So I kind of attacked on the descent too, and maybe burnt a bit too much of a match trying to chase them, and did get to a point where I was like, actually there's no point trying to chase them, I'll try and hold back and see if I can work slowly back to them. So I couldn't quite make out what that rider said to me, but the vibe I got from it was that he wasn't going to let me sit on him or like work for me in any shape or form. So I basically had to attack round and try and chase Amelia on my own. And then we did actually manage to eventually catch Danny and the other guy. And almost as soon as we did, Amelia kind of accelerated on the hill, and I had to try and get on their wheels because the other two guys pulled back. and basically this was a 3.5 kilometer hill climb, and about halfway up I just started like dropping off and suffering. But I could see in the distance that Amelia had actually dropped Danny, and Danny wasn't that far in front of me, and I think you can kind of see her in a few shots time. But this guy then basically attacked me and then went and joined her, and I knew that if I could get on his wheel I could maybe get to the finish with them, but he completely dropped me. So I'm not really sure how the race dynamics played out in front of me, but I know Danny ended up just pipping Amelia to the line, and I rolled in a couple of minutes behind after riding the last bit on my own.
How was that? Tough one? Okay, third again.
Nice, consistent.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, thanks.
So me, Amelia and Daddy, none of us had issues today, which I think is the first day that's happened. So we actually ended up together, which was quite nice. So like the three of us were like riding together. It did mean that there were points where we weren't pushing very hard because no one really wanted to take a turn. And I knew that they're both kind of stronger up climbs than me, so I was like strategically trying to hold back because I knew it finished on a descent. And if I'd like clung in there on the climb, then I could maybe get them on the descent. But anyways, I didn't cling in there on the climb. It was like nearly 3.5k long, and I just couldn't hold them. But yeah, so finished third, which was alright.
And we'll see you in the podium. Congratulations once again. That's your second place women's senior rider, Maddie Nutt. We're looking for Madeline Nutt. Be presented by one of the founders, Raiders Gravel, Methvin Bond. Mikey Mortram from Rebel Collective will fight nonetheless. Stacked podium.
Are you happy with your ice cream?
Yeah, awesome. Needed.
Post-race walk on the beach.
Really nice because it's during lockdown as well.
And I'm ending this vlog with some bonus Bridget content. Bridget. She's so cute. Bridget, are you surveying like a meerkat?
Senior support worker, supported living.
She's got juice on her chin.
Is it just too much? Everything's just got too much for Bridget. Look at this animal. Girl. Good girl!